Hi everyone, welcome to week 4 of Social Hour. I'm Adrian, I'm the social worker at the Hemophilia Treatment Center at UCSD. Week 4 of this little chats that we've been doing. This week, I think I just wanted to sort of continue what we talked about last week, which was stress management. And then I really wanted to focus this week on reframing sort of what quarantine means and what it looks like. Sort of taking the concept of staying at home or being safe at home and really just redefining what that means, talking about different ways to look at it. Um, One of the things that I've been doing with the staff at the Hemophilia Treatment Center also is sort of going through each week and sending information about mindfulness uh, and some of those concepts. So I really want to sort of bring in some of the things that I've discussed with them and share them with you all. So with that, let's go ahead and start. And I usually like to start with a few deep breaths, so just so that we can kind of get in the mood and a little grounded. Let's do that now. So again, it's going to be 3 deep breaths. We'll do a deep breath in, hold at the top, and then breathe out. You can leave your eyes open. You can close your eyes however you feel more comfortable. I'm going to keep my eyes open so I can pay attention to what's going on in front of me. So we'll go ahead and breathe in. And breathe out. And we'll breathe in. And breathe out. And last one. Let's do a really, really deep breathe in. And breathe out. Very nice. So then moving on, we'll go to the cards from the last few weeks, and hopefully we'll get a good exercise that we can sort of kick off with. So again, shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. And I usually just pick one in the center, that looking. So this one, the topic or the category is aware, and it says turn off your autopilot. And when anxiety, sadness, frustration, and anger show up in your life, what do you do with those experiences? How do you react? And how can you turn off your autopilot? So thinking about that a little bit, so much in our lives, or so many times I should say, when we have emotions or things that we experience, like the card says, we sort of have an autopilot, we have an automatic response, right? So something happens, there's an event, there is a conversation, there's a discussion, um, there is something that sort of sets us off, something that elicits a reaction from us. And a lot of times we react without thinking, we jump to an emotion, whether that's anger, frustration, sadness, anxiety. A lot of that is just sort of pre-programmed. It's just sort of how really things that were ingrained in us from the time that we were kids and just how we learned, right? So thinking about that, it's really more the concept, bringing in the concept of being mindful, right? So when something happens, taking a second, pausing, utilizing some stop and think skills, and just saying, what's happening right now? Why am I reacting in this automatic way? And how can I change that? How can I think about that or restructure that? And that's actually kind of on the nose because that's sort of what we are going to discuss in the larger conversation today. So last week we really focused on just overall stress management and things that you can do to sort of manage stress. We talked about nutrition briefly. We talked about sleep, exercise, making sure that you are in contact with a mental health professional, or just really seeking out mental health resources to sort of talk about things, get things out, making sure that you're staying connected with folks and your sort of your social circle. So with that in mind, one of the resources that I really rely on that I really, really like, it's from UC Berkeley, and it's called Greater Good Magazine. And it's really mindfulness-based, really science-based, but science-based emotional and mental health. So they really look at the science behind mindfulness and how that can really help with stress, anxiety, depression, things like that. And I think that really they have been a really good resource right now because so much of what's going on is very unknown. And they've really been putting out a lot of content around, just being mindful and sort of looking at the situation that we're all in a different way. So with that, they had an article that came out kind of early on in quarantine. This is from back in March. So this article is called Six Daily Questions to Ask Yourself in Quarantine. And really, I think the writer talks about how um, the stay-at-home orders and quarantine and all that sort of disrupted everybody and everyone's routines. And we sort of mentioned that last week. And thinking about what really that means. So when we talk about routines, it's sort of, we know what to expect. We know what's going to happen, the same that later that day, or we know what's going to happen tomorrow or the day after that. We know that our schedule says Wednesday is, happy hour, or, Thursday is when one of your children has soccer practice. And since stay-at-home orders and quarantine, all that has sort of vanished, right? We don't know what tomorrow will bring. We don't know when any of this will end. So it's really, this article is really about kind of giving structure to your day. We talked about that last week also, about like the routine and just making sure that you're creating a new routine. So where, you used to wake up at, I don't know, 5:30, 6 to get ready for work and sit in traffic. Maybe that no longer needs to happen because you're not commuting as much, but still setting up, a time to wake up, um, getting dressed, showering, brushing your teeth, all of that thing, having breakfast, whatever it looks like to sort of give your day structure. So this article is about structure, but in a different way. So it's just asking yourself 6 daily questions to check in with yourself, make sure you're doing okay. And the 6 questions, I'll read them sort of really quickly, and then we'll go through them a little bit more. The first one is, what am I grateful for today? Second one, who am I checking in on or connecting with today? 3, what expectations of normal am I letting go of today? 4, how am I getting outside today? 5, how am I moving my body today? And 6, holding the iPad, 6, what beauty am I either creating, cultivating, or inviting in today? So going through them, I talked with the staff a few weeks ago at the HTC about gratefulness. And what I was really wanting to focus on with them was, even in this time where we're sort of unsure of what tomorrow will bring, focusing on what we have here now with us, and the things that we're really grateful for. Is there somebody that you're at home with, somebody that you're quarantined with that you're grateful for because they're a support? Are you grateful to still be employed? Are you grateful? Maybe you're not employed right now, but are you grateful that unemployment came through and you have a source of income for the next few weeks? And what I did with them was I had them go through and just pick 3 things. It doesn't have to be a really long list, but 3 things that you're especially grateful for. Either write them down, say them out loud, just think about them and keep them in your head. Just as a way to sort of refocus your energy and refocus your attention on things, and not so much the unknowns and the things that you don't have access to right now, but really focusing on what you do have and being grateful for those. So, yeah. It takes a few minutes. And like I said, you can write it down, say it out loud, talk about it with somebody, or just say it to yourself in your head and keep it there. So the second one was, who am I checking in on or connecting with today? So with all of this and isolation and distancing, there's sort of been an emphasis on staying home or staying away from friends, family, social groups, basically anybody outside of your immediate house, right? And some people don't have anyone else at home. Some people only have one other person that they've been isolating with. Some of us have been working from home for a few weeks, so haven't interacted with our regular coworkers. But I think, a lot of folks have pivoted to things like this, YouTube, Zoom, um, other chat apps, FaceTime, House Party, WhatsApp, any of those sort of tools that existed before but maybe weren't utilized as much. And I know that we talked a little bit before about Zoom fatigue and some of that. But I think here it's really just reaching out to folks. It doesn't necessarily have to be a Zoom call. It doesn't have to be a FaceTime because like I said, we talked about how that can be a little draining. But reaching out and calling your grandparents, your parents, having actual old school phone calls, calling a friend, texting, writing emails, writing longer emails where it's a little bit more formal than a text, but it's not a phone call. So you're still sort of reaching out, corresponding, but also, allowing yourself that space so that you're not having to be on when you're on video, but also checking in with other folks. So checking with some of your friends, for example, who live alone, or if you have grandparents who live alone, just making sure that you're making those connections with people. Checking on your neighbors, if you have neighbors, again, neighbors who may be isolating at home alone, maybe elderly, going over, seeing if they need anything, if they need supplies, if they need groceries, just really reaching out and connecting with folks, I think is really important right now, especially as we get further and further into this, right? And I know that we are sort of moving towards reopening, if you will, but there's still some uncertainty around that. So I think until we are fully able to go back to the way that things were before, with being able to go in social spaces and things like that, making sure that we're checking in with each other is very important. Yeah. So number 3, what expectations of normal am I letting go of today? So this one's kind of a big one, right? I think it's sort of the overall idea that we sort of have been discussing for the last few weeks. Things are so different now, and we don't know what tomorrow will look like. So, I think when we stop and sort of think about it, we have to sort of remember that we're in a global pandemic, and probably none of us have ever been through this before, right? So, expecting to function the way that you did prior to all of this is sort of not realistic. I don't want to say that in a negative way, but I think just making sure that you're telling yourself that it's okay to have a day where you don't feel like doing anything, where you just want to lay on the couch and stare at the ceiling all day, and just giving yourself the permission to go ahead and do that, and reminding yourself that you don't have to get through your inbox, however many emails you may have, you don't have to get it accomplished in one day. The way that we are all working now, I think, has sort of flipped everything upside down, to where, I think when we think about where we'll be in a few months, where, how many of us will still be working from home, and what will that normal look like? What will the workday look like in a few months? Will you sit down and work for 8 hours straight like you used to? Probably not, because the reality of the situation is when you're working from home, things come up you have kids at home, especially right now that kids aren't in school, you may work for 1 or 2 hours, take a break, attend to the kids, make sure that they're getting their homeschool done, distance learning, making sure they're getting their distance learning done, and then go back to getting more work done for another 2 hour block. Taking an hour for lunch, maybe another hour later in the evening for dinner, and then maybe doing another hour or two of work. So just really thinking about shifting everything. The faster that we let go of normal, the faster we're all able to adapt and able to sort of shift and get into the mindset of where we are right now. The fourth one is, how am I getting outside today? And I'll be honest, this was something that I struggled with for the first few weeks, especially when there was so much uh, misinformation or lack of understanding about how much distance, was jogging okay, was walking okay. There was a lot of uncertainty in the early weeks of the pandemic. So I think those first few weeks were really sort of difficult for me because I didn't want to leave at all. But I think now, as more information is coming out about what's okay to do, more information about masks and outdoor spaces, more information about social distancing, physical distancing, that type of thing. I think in recent weeks, it's been really important for me to make sure that I am going outside for any amount of time. Not everybody's able to live in a place where they have a park that they can walk to or a neighborhood that they can walk around. But I think when we're talking about getting outside, I mean, even if you're just going outside for 5 or 10 minutes, walking to the mailbox or to the the dumpster to take the trash out, just making sure that you're getting some sunlight, some air. And if you're not able to go out, maybe just making sure that you're opening blinds, opening curtains, opening windows, circulating air, sort of getting out of that stagnant space, because um, our nervous systems kind of react to that, right? So just making sure that uh, we have some sort of natural light coming in. I'm standing in front of a window right now, and making sure that I'm getting sunlight. Number one, so you can see me, but also just so that I don't sort of get stuck in feeling down because I'm in a dark room all day or I'm stuck indoors all day. So I think anything that you can do to get some sort of um, natural light or fresh air in your home or your space is very important. But to sort of tack onto that, number five is, how am I moving my body today? So with what we're all going through, I think everybody sort of experienced an increase in stress and an increase in anxiety. That can sort of exacerbate some underlying stuff, some stuff that we've dealt with in the past. It can sort of just bring all of that up again, right? And I think it's really important. I'm standing right now and it's helping because I'm moving around. And I think it's really important that, even if we're not used to exercising or we're not used to moving around, that we have uh, some sort of plan or some sort of block of time carved out where, if you're sitting all day because you're working from home, stand up, move around. Um, I have created a makeshift standing desk with an ironing board and some boxes, so that I am moving and I'm doing something different and I'm not sitting down, for 6, 8 hours at a time. Getting up and taking frequent breaks, getting up, walking around, walking outside, coming back. Again, sort of that uh, thing about getting outside and getting into nature. These two kind of go hand in hand, because, go outside, you're also getting some movement. Anything really that you can do, it doesn't necessarily have to be a really big, difficult exercise plan. No one's saying you have to go out and run a 5K tomorrow. It's really just small changes um, and small things that you can do just to make sure that you're moving your body, you're standing up, you're stretching your legs, you're getting blood flow all over. That goes so much and so far in making us feel better mentally and emotionally. One of the things that we do at the HTC is we have Peter, our physical therapist, who's doing some movement videos here on YouTube as well, and Dre, our athletic trainer, who's also doing, our Get Up and Get Moving class on YouTube on Mondays. Those are two free, easy ways to sort of get moving and get some physical activity in your bodies so that you feel a lot better, or at least a little bit better. And then number 6, the last one, is what beauty am I creating, cultivating, or inviting in today? So this one's kind of lofty, right? It's kind of a tough concept sometimes because when we are watching TV or watching the news or reading the newspaper, if any of you still read the newspaper, physical newspaper, right now there's a lot of negative news, right? So finding positive things, finding things that are beautiful, finding beauty in the world, whether that's art, whether that's music, um, just anything really that you can say is beautiful. Uh, you know, I'm not an artist, but listening to music is something that I appreciate. So, or if you're vice versa, if maybe you are not good at music, but you are good at art, you're good at drawing, you're good at writing, just making sure that you are, writing things out. One of the things that we talk about in social work and in mental health at large is journaling. And it's not for everybody, not everybody does it. It's sort of a thing that we discuss a lot for patients and clients as sort of like a homework thing, like to go home, and in between sessions, having a space to write down your thoughts and write down your feelings. Um, like I said, everybody does it. It's not for everybody, but I think it's just one thing to consider when we're talking about, writing things out, writing about our lives, writing down, like I said, mentioned before, what we're grateful for. Same thing with drawing, drawing your dreams, drawing what you are excited about for after quarantine. My YouTube page is flooded with recipe videos that I've been watching. I don't cook, but it's just something that that's fun to watch sometimes, and seeing how people are able to express themselves through food and through cooking and sharing, their love and their emotion in that way, I think is cool. Yeah, so I think anything that you can do um, in the sense of creativity or creating or art, I think is really good, because not only does it get our brain creatively, I think it sort of it feels good to do things and express yourself in that way. It's a way of getting out what's inside and maybe some emotions that maybe we're uncomfortable expressing in a different way. So I think anything that you can do in the sense of creating, I think is a positive thing. So that's all I have. If you want to read the article, the website is greatergood.berkeley.edu, and the article is called 6 Daily Questions to Ask Yourself in Quarantine. And that's what the webpage looks like. There's a reflection. So, yeah, like I said, I think just really about reframing and looking at this time that we have at home in as positive as a light as we can. It hasn't been the easiest, it hasn't been the funnest, but let's think about other ways that we can utilize the time. What can we do to make ourselves feel good? How can we support ourselves and support the people that are home with us, support people around us, support people in our community during this time, that a lot of folks are struggling. So really just make sure that you check in with yourselves first before you can go out and help others. Like always, if you have questions, comments, or concerns, you can reach me at the office. There's my phone number, email address. You can read my chicken scratch, adcarranza@health.ucsd.edu. Phone number 858-657-6028. I love hearing from you. I love you get questions. I love to, have you all reach out to me. It's been great since we've been doing these to hear from you and hear how you're coping. So keep doing that. Keep on sending me your messages. Keep on sending me your questions. I'm here for you every single day, Monday through Friday. Even though I'm not in the office, even though I'm working from home, I'm still available for one-on-one sessions, phone or video. And then hopefully here in the next few weeks, we may start to go back to the office. So we may be able to do maybe some socially distanced visits. We don't really know how that's going to work yet, but details to come on that. But in the meantime, reach out, call, email, write in, comment here, however you want to reach me, I'm here for you. So with that, I will say goodbye until next week. Hope you all are safe. Wash your hands.